Shazad, Jemima, thank you so much for the time to chat with you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was the most heartfelt
I
beginning
know.
to any I've ever had, ever.
I want to cry. I feel like I'm going to cry.
I know.
Well, I really do appreciate it. It's always a privilege to chat with anybody associated with film, but this film is such a delight. I really do. Shazad, you're wonderful, and Jemima, it's such a wonderful story. What was it that excited you to tell this story?
Well, poor Shazad, he's heard me ask him the question so many times.
Um,
Really, really sorry, but I'll try and mix it up a bit. So my backstory is that I lived in Pakistan for 10 years. When I was 20, I went to go and live there. I lived in my ex-husband's joint family setup with his father and his sisters and their husbands and their entire family, 26 of us in one house. And a lot of them had had arranged marriages. And so I saw them up close. And when I came back to the UK, it prompted some discussions with my girlfriends about at what point would they ever get to the point where they might defer to their parents and go, okay, you choose, and what might the person that they chose be like? And that was the kind of original premise for the idea. Mainly because I'd seen some very, very happy arranged marriages in Pakistan. I had gone thinking it was this like medieval, outdated sort of chattel swap, and went there and thought, oh, it's not only are these quite successful, happy marriages, but I actually saw some that were kind of surprisingly romantic in the kind of execution of them. So yeah, that's where it kind of came from. It was a tiny bit different, Shazad, a tiny bit.
uh, me-
Incremental.
Medieval chattel swap. You hadn't said that's good. That's a
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
I love the fact that the story is trying to balance the idea of modern family and traditional values at the same time. There's a celebration of both. But one of the things I thought was so fascinating, Shazad, your character at one point talks about we need to be a little more honest. And I was wondering, in these sorts of marriages, or just even in our cultural landscape today, is there this tension between those two worlds, modern and tradition, that's taking place within Muslim families?
I think so. I think it's always good to be as honest as possible in any situation, in any relationship. I don't think most people in any culture are as honest as we always can be. I think, but maybe slightly more prevalent in those kind of things because of tradition. But I suppose that's the whole point about people trying to open up and just lead from the heart a little more, and that will soften everything, and just open up to everybody's heart a little bit more. I think it is necessary. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit more honest.
The relationships between characters in this film are so much fun to watch. You and Lily have wonderful chemistry, and but I have to ask you both. Let's talk about love, and let's talk about romance, because that's so much of what this film is about. And one of the things I love about it is the idea is it sort of poking at romance as a fairy tale all the way through it. So I guess I'd love to hear from you both. Like, do you think that we put too much emphasis on the fairy tale of relationships, or is romance exactly what we've been told?
I mean, I'd like to start by saying that Shazad and I have different views on this. He's still at the stage in his life where I think he wants to fall in love, not walk into love. And and I am having, I think, probably rushed things in the past too much. I'm in favor of a little more pragmatism. I'm in favor of the kind of simmer then boil approach. Having, I think, got somewhat burnt by kind of rom-com love in the past, and the idea that, this one person is going to be everything to you, and they're going to, this kind of rom-com idea in the absence maybe of religion and community and society, that one person and love can be everything to you and has to complete you and has to mean everything. And I don't think that that is possible. I think that I think it's a fallacy in rom-coms. And so that's why this is kind of a weird genre to have chosen, but that's why I chose it, because I think it is somewhat challenging, the rom-com idea of love. And I think there's something really interesting about the idea that you don't start with love, you end with love, as Kaz says in the film. And I do think that, you know, so many options, for example, on kind of dating apps can lead to a slight feeling of disposability and a sort of commodification of love that is equally problematic as too little choice in the traditional arranged marriage setup. Go, Shaz.
No, I agree. I agree
Is that?
I agree with most of that. I do think rom-coms have definitely sold us short a little bit, and I don't think you can get everything from one person and putting it and needing it from them. But I do also agree with what you said earlier, Joanna, about you mentioned that love can be, you know, we have the idea of love being transcendental and mystical, and I definitely agree with that part of it. There's a spiritual aspect to it, which, if nurtured properly, and if there's communication, if there's honesty, and if you do all the really, really hard things, then it can be what, you know, that romantic thing you're looking for. But it's incredibly hard.
Well, I think it's hard to sustain kind of love for over a period of time. So it sounds like a really personal conversation going on.
No, yeah, but if you're willing to put the work in, if you're willing to put the time, I'm willing to go all the way.
See, you know, I'm fascinated by these conversations. Like, I love these sorts of topics, and because I think that, you know, we live in, pardon the generality of it, a Disney princess world where the sweeping music picks up, and yet there's this other side as well that and that's what I thought was so well done in this film, is it sort of acknowledges the power of love and also that broken, imperfect side, which I thought was so effective. So the flip side of that, and this was taken from the film, is loneliness a Western disease?
Yeah, the Emma Thompson character it was really important to me that she is single and happy, because I think that there are different ways to find love and connection and happiness in life, and it doesn't have to come from one other individual. And in her case, she's found connection and belonging with a kind of chosen tribe, I guess. I do think that loneliness is really problematic in the West. I mean, they've done studies saying that it is more deadly than cancer. People who live on their own, and so, you know, I got that is literally true. And I think that, you know, in extended families and more interconnected communities and societies, you do have less of a problem with loneliness. Of course, there's a flip side to that, because you also have kind of the stigma of divorce and societal pressure and all of those things. But I definitely think that loneliness is more of a problem in the West than it is in traditional societies.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've seen that in my family in different places, and yeah, you go to Pakistan, you sit around 50 people in a room sharing a curry. It's you're not going to feel that feel that lonely, and that doesn't happen in the West, you know.
Yeah, I think in Pakistan, I think that you don't get loneliness. You might have a sense of a certain loss of autonomy. You know, with that level of, you know, at the beginning, it just feels like such a big, warm embrace. But, you know, it can feel also overwhelming, is the flip side.
Well, I really, truly appreciate the time with you both. Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation, and I really wish you the best. The film's a joy. Thank you.
Thank you.